Welcome to Screw the Commute, the entrepreneurial podcast dedicated to getting you out of the car and into the money. With your host, lifelong entrepreneur and multimillionaire, Tom Antion.
Hey, it's Tom here with Screw the Commute podcast. This is the special Patriot series, and we have Steven Kuhn with us today. And I was just introduced to this guy by my school advisory board member, Leisha West. And boy, did we hit it off. I mean, both of us have been kicked around, shot at, punched in the face, owned bars, and all that was on our good days. and I just had the great honor of addressing his group of Vetrepreneurs at the Military Influencers Conference in Washington, D.C. Now, this is part of September's Vetrepreneurs Month, and I have lots of Vetrepreneur friends who could be featured on this day in our history, this special day in our history, but I thought Steven would be a great patriot to have on today as he's helping veterans all around the world and entrepreneurs all around the world, and I'll introduce him to you in a moment. Now, also, please tell your friends about this podcast. The more successful it is, the more freebies I'll be able to give our faithful listeners, and I'm sure you know somebody that's either starting a business or in a business that's struggling, and we've got great information here. On Mondays, I do my in-depth trainings, and on Wednesdays and Fridays, I interview great entrepreneurs like Steven. Grab a copy of our podcast app. It's in the Apple Store. You can go to screwthecommute.com/app. That's APP. And we've got complete instructions on showing you how to use all the fancy features so you can take us with you on the road. And of course, grab our big freebie to thank you for listening to this podcast. It's a $27 ebook called How to Automate Your Business. It allowed me, with one part-time temp person, to handle as many as 150,000 subscribers and 40,000 customers. And the part-time temp person didn't even handle them. I did. So check it out at screwthecommute.com/automate free. Screwthecommute.com/automate free. Now, our sponsor is the Internet Marketing Training Center of Virginia. We're approved by the Department of Defense to participate in the MyCAA Military Spouse Scholarship Program. Now, we give a $9,500 scholarship to military spouses and anybody in the military, and the MyCAA program gives them $4,000, so they can get a total of $13,500 towards their education that they can take with them anywhere they happen to be deployed. So I'll tell you more about that later, but you can check it out, like everything we'll talk about today, in the show notes at imtcva.org/military. All right, let's get to the main event. Steven Kuhn is a decorated United States Army combat veteran. He's a speaker, he's an author, and consultant who helps individuals dramatically improve their quality of life through the consistent, conscious application of, listen to this, honesty, integrity, and transparency. So, hey, Hitman, are you ready to screw the commute?
I almost answered that.
I know. I know. Your wife's not listening, is she?
No.
Good.
Well, the kids are the grandparents.
So okay. So you're okay. So, oh, man, I'm just so thrilled to have met you, and quite an honor to have someone like you on the show here. You're helping veterans around the world. So tell everybody basically what you're doing, because I've seen you on stage in big crowds and got a great following. So tell them what you're doing, and then we'll take you back to see how you made it.
Thank you. Well, I was an offline consultant for 20 years, and about 2 years ago, I decided to go online because I wanted to stay location independent. I didn't want to have to go to work. And since I live in Hungary, in the middle of nowhere, in a village of 2,000 people, that was the best bet. And I just went online and I looked for my niche. And my niche is, of course, veterans. Mm-hmm. But because I lived in Europe for 20 years or 25 years, I didn't really have a connection to the veterans anymore. But that proved to be my bonus, because I showed up out of nowhere and ended up just giving free advice about how to start, grow, scale your business, little things about websites and how to get people to attract and traffic and all kinds of things that I've been doing for 20 years. And it turns out that the veteran space, there was a huge gap there. So I ended up till today, after 19 months, I think it's 235 veterans that I've helped one-on-one. That's not including group trainings or things like that. So it's super, it's very, very, very fulfilling for me, but it's also getting the job done. And that's what's important for me. So yeah, that's pretty much what I do. I turn around their businesses if they're in trouble. I break through plateaus and I help them start their businesses and solve problems.
Now you lead a big Facebook group too, right?
Yes, it's called the Vetrepreneur Tribe. We're 13,500 veterans at the moment. It started out when I joined, it was 3,000, and then the guy who started it, he went another way and just said, "Hey, Steven, everyone thinks you own it anyway, so why don't you just take it?" Because I was there every day. I've done a live
that's leadership,
every day.
I guess.
Yeah, well, I did a live every single day for 19 months. So I mean, you
Wow.
couldn't forget me. Yeah. So Facebook Live, even weekends. So,
Well, I'll tell you what, it must be exclusive because I tried to buy one of your new hats and they wouldn't even sell it to me. He said, I have to get permission to. Seriously, the guy he said, no, I can't sell a hat unless I get permission legally and everything else. I said, well, give it a try.
Okay. We'll get you one.
Yeah. He's
Awesome.
got this cool hat. Now, tell us about H.I.T. I mean, because a lot of people know that I'm all about anti-scam, high integrity, high transparency. So you have personified this. You're the hitman. Tell them about it.
Well, just to go back to the consulting part, a big part of my business is actually consulting businesses all over the globe that not necessarily are veterans. So this is where this comes into play, because when you work with veterans, it's almost a given. Like, look, I know you know me, we're in a similar space. In our mind, we've been where we've been together, and in our bodies, we've been together. So there's an automatic attraction there. But when I go to the civilian world and I speak with people, it's very key for me to know that I'm working with somebody that is HIT. And HIT is this. H stands for honesty, stands for integrity, and T stands for transparency. Honesty is being true to who you are and how you live. The transparency is communicating your honesty for everyone to observe. And integrity is a result of those two. And it's also your ongoing reputation. So, for instance, if you live by HIT, you have the clarity of who you are and exactly what you want in life. And when you do that, you don't have to live with expectations. You don't worry about other people's expectations. So you have pure clarity. You live an incredible, happy life where everyone seems to help you every step of the way. And you naturally attract others who live the same way by HIT, even if they don't know it's called HIT, making life super, really easy and enjoyable. And when you operate under HIT, of course, you get real, authentic connection, significance, and true happiness, because every healthy relationship on the planet is based on integrity, period. So without integrity, you don't have a relationship. You might have leverage and you might have sort of manipulation using NLP and all these kind of things. But I can tell you this, using HIT and our concept we call creating space, you can literally close any deal, walk up to any person, go anywhere you want and get whatever you want. And you do it with a win-win every single time. Creating space is real simple. You have one intention when you meet somebody. It doesn't matter if it's a sale or you're buying or they're buying or you're in a meeting or you're at meeting the president, whoever it is. You have one intention only. Zero expectations, zero cookie cutters. That one intention is adding value. Simple as that. So you go in, guns blazing, value, 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 value. And what that does is it creates a space for them, almost a vacuum, because they're like, look, they're not trying to sell me, but let me step a little closer. When they step closer, they're actually stepping into what we call their own greatness, because there's no pressure there. And what happens when two people get close and have that connection? The mastermind is formed. And that's where the magic comes in. That's where the solutions and problems get, the solutions are found for the problems magically. You come up with ideas and solutions that you never would have thought of on your own. So that's just an overview of what HIT is.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of how we hit it off, because as we started talking, we started saying, hey, he's talking the way I think. And then I guess you thought, hey, he's talking the way I think. And it was a very fast connection. I mean, normally I vet people like crazy, and you do too. And but we kind of cut through.
We really within 2 days we had you speaking on stage.
I know.
Yeah.
So
true. That's you actually experienced creating space. You create you found it. You stepped in. We connected. We created solutions. We had ideas. Next thing you know, we're making appointments at the White House. I mean, it's crazy.
And Vetrepreneurs Month came because I met you. I mean, I always supported military, but I never, went that far and made a whole month
thought
over
about it.
it.
You never thought about it because it was never urgent or there was never a reason to do it. But the funny thing about all of this is this happens every day.
Right.
with me. This happens every single day with me. I mean, I walked
Oh, you
up
mean
to
I'm not special? Oh, isn't that nice?
Of course you're special, because it happens it happens different
I'm
every
special
time.
today.
But for
That's
instance,
right.
but what happens is, for instance, I walked up to Mick Jagger after I heard on the radio that he was in Berlin for his tour of Germany for 3 weeks, and his bodyguard hurt his back and stayed in the UK. So I waited for him in his hotel lobby, walked up to him, created space, and said, "I'm your new bodyguard." He said, "Well, who are you? Who sent you?" And I said, "I sent me." And the next thing you know, they pay me $400 a day to be his bodyguard.
Yeah,
I mean,
awesome.
that's what creating space, how powerful it is.
Yeah, and it makes making decisions in your life easy too. When you're thinking, all right, what's the integrity way to do this? In this whatever situation what's the fair, what's the transparent way to do it? It makes it
Right.
much easier. So Mick Jagger, huh? So
Yeah,
how many people did you have to kill that were? And they were all women chasing him. That was an easy bodyguard
It was
job.
more, and if I want to be honest about this, I might get sued for this. But if it was more of him keeping him away from women who were much younger than him, put it that way.
I see.
But to his credit, he became famous when he was 17, so that probably sticks. That
Right,
age
he's
stuck with him, that
17, yeah,
mentality. Yeah, exactly.
He's still singing, right? I mean, didn't he just have a
Yeah, it's
concert? Yeah.
amazing. I mean, can you imagine? I grew up. My mother listened to the Stones, Painted Black, and that kind of stuff. And this was 1998, by the way. So there I am. It's we're in the Berlin Waldbühne, which is the first time that they were in there since 1969, because they completely demolished the place. They ripped it apart. All the fans just went nuts, so they wouldn't let them back in. So this was historic, and I'm standing on stage with these guys, going, "I'm living history, man.
Right.
I can't believe this." And I'm standing here with Mick Jagger, and I got to hang out with him all. We go to
Uh-huh.
cafe. He's like, "Where do you want to go?" I mean, he's like, "Steve, I want to go get a coffee or something." I'm like, "All right, let's go." And I would just call my buddies who own restaurants, "Dude, I'm bringing Mick Jagger. Make a place and call your friends and get the press." And it was like I was hooking up all my friends around town.
Uh-huh.
And what that means is that's what I call investing in relational capital. So when you invest in relational capital, it's like investing in financial capital, the same thing, but you're guaranteed a return,
Mhm.
right? And the law of reciprocity says, give what you have, and you will receive what you don't have in return. So that's what I did, and I didn't know what I was doing at the time. I just knew that when other people feel good, that I feel good. So I
Right,
just kept
right.
doing that, and no matter, I had Olivia Newton-John. I worked for her. I brought her company to 6 countries in Europe, and I brought her to all these places. Invited all my friends, and even if they weren't customers, but they got to see her and meet her, photos, that kind of stuff. And Andrea Bocelli, the same thing. As I worked for him as well. All the same way. I walked up, created space, boom, I'm working for him. I
Now,
wasn't even qualified. I never even worked in the music industry before, and here I am dealing contracts with Warner Brothers for Andrea Bocelli's team. I was like, "What?" But you know what I did when I went into the CEO's office of Warner Brothers, Rhino Records?
what's that?
I created space. He pulled out a beer. We started watching videos on YouTube. It was crazy.
well, both of us have made major mistakes in that we bought bars.
Yes. Lord. Good Lord. I actually made a bigger mistake.
What's
because
that?
I took a gallery and turned it into a bar.
Into a bar. Oh.
And so no one knew what was there. So the first year it was like me alone in the bar. Oh my Lord.
All right, so let's take you back. So I understand you had humble beginnings.
Yes, I did. We my mother was a very strong woman who knew what she wanted, at least year to year, and so we switched locations and who we were living with, so to say. She got married a couple times and that kind of stuff. So we moved around a lot, and it was always literally within like 25 miles of where we were. So we always saw the same people, even though we moved away. It was quite strange. Went to the same school the whole time too, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And the last home I lived in was a mobile home, and that's when I joined the Army. I gotta get the heck out of here. I don't even care. I actually wanted to join the Navy.
How old were you?
And I was I joined when I was 18, but I was held back, so I didn't finish high school till I was 19. So
Okay.
yeah, I was lazy in those days. I hated myself. I was like a doofus. I tried football, baseball, wrestling, soccer. I tried everything. I tried soccer. I tried basketball, and I played football for 3 years. And I was just so tired of sucking at it that I quit.
Yeah.
And it's because I had no self confidence and no self belief, and nobody freaking believed in me.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, I'm going to go to the Army. This life isn't fair. And my mom still makes that joke today. You think you're going to be fair in the Army? But it did. It changed my life.
So how did Army instead of Navy? You said you wanted to go to Navy?
Yeah, well, the Navy is because I went to the recruiter station to sign up. He's like, "Hey, take a seat. I'll be right with you." And I'm waiting and I'm waiting. This is after a year of prepping to join the Navy. I learned how to fold, speak their language, all that, the Morse code, all that stuff. And he left me sitting there for like an hour and a half. And this Army recruiter in his blues and just looking badass, walking by. He's like, "You still sitting here? You still sitting here? You still sitting?" Every time I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." He's like, "Come on, let me show you what the Army's got." And after about, after the whole time, I was like, "All right, I'm going in." I went in and signed up just to spite the Navy guy. And there I was. So all these heroes things about I joined because no, I joined to get out of where I was, and I joined the Army because I wanted to spite the Navy guy.
Was it a shock from your life in the trailer park to
Yeah,
all this regimentation?
but I wanted it. I
Yeah,
needed it.
you needed
I
it.
had zero regimentation. I was an idiot. And I'll never forget when I was sitting in that chair to get my mullet that I had at the time. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Shaved off. It was more like a.
We got to get a picture of that for show notes.
I'll send it. It was more like a disco mullet, so it was like feathered back, and it was horrible. Anyway, so they took that razor and just started shaving it, right?
Yeah.
And I felt it. I felt it and said, "This is the new me."
Oh,
Like
really? That was a turning point for you?
Oh my God. Oh my God. It was like everything that I hated about myself fell to the ground with that hair.
Wow.
Yeah. And I felt it too. It was like, this is epic for me. I know this is a defining point in my life at that time. I have this thing through my whole life. I have periods in my life or situations in my life where I make a mental photograph and say, I'm going to remember this in 30, 40 years. Like I literally do it at that moment.
Right.
I've been doing it my whole life. It's crazy. And then, I went in 240 pounds, was 19 years old, pudgy guy. And I got out of boot camp. I was like 187,
Wow.
thin, rock hard. Yeah, it was amazing. But one thing happened in boot camp that changed everything for me. I loved what I did. I loved boot camp. I only slept 2 hours a day and it was okay for me. It was hard as hell, but I loved it. I loved pushing myself. I was the slowest guy. I have short legs, I guess. I'm 6'4", but I have short legs. Go figure. I'm the guy you see on the airplane with his head sticking way above the seat.
Yeah.
They think, he's tall. Nope, I just have a long upper body. So, and we did a 20-mile jog, and then we get to the obstacle course, right, which is hard enough as it is. And I get to this wall that's facing me. It's 15 degrees facing me, no rope, and it's about it's about an arm length over my head. And I'm 6'4", and I'm thinking like, how am I supposed to get over that? Everyone else is getting over it, but I couldn't get over it. I could not get over that wall.
It's facing you, right? It's
facing
not
me,
straight up. Yeah, right.
Leaning towards me. You're like, what the heck? So I couldn't get over. The drill sergeant took me by the back of the neck, threw me in the mud, put his boot on the back of my neck, and just started calling me every name in the book. And I exploded, and I shot up, tears in my face, snot running out of my nose, and just like a gazelle right over the wall.
Wow.
I landed on the other side. It was like slow motion. Boom. And I saw angels. It was like, my God, this is, yeah. I just figured something out.
Wow.
And it was in my head the whole time. And from that point on, I did and do whatever I believe I can do.
Right. Wow.
Amazing. And that was another one of those points. I took a photo in my mind and I said, I'm going to remember this for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Do you know the guy still?
No, I know his name, Gilbert.
Yeah.
Sergeant First Class Gilbert. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So then what? So you went into combat, right?
Then I got shipped to Germany, which is where I wanted to go. It's funny. They give you a dream, a wish list. They say, write 3 places down where you'd like to be stationed. I wrote Hawaii, Italy, and Germany. And little did I know I was in tanks. There's no tanks in Hawaii or in Italy, but they didn't tell me that. So I went to Germany, go figure. And it was the Cold War. The wall was up. I was on the border looking over at Ivan the Terrible.
Oh, wow.
It was pucker factor 10. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It was real. It was tension. It was high stress. And we had a lot of time off.
You carried an M4 at that time, or the machine gun, or what?
Since we're tankers, we carried 45s.
That's it.
We had 45, 1911 A1s. Yeah. Well, we have one crew weapon, which is an M16.
Well, amazing. Yeah. So you're standing at the wall with some binoculars and a 45.
Yeah. Model 1911 A1. And then, if we're on patrol, because we weren't infantry, but we would take patrol, we'd have one M60, which is a 7.62. And you never carried the weapon and the ammo with the same person because it was too heavy. But I always volunteered. I went both.
Uh-huh.
That's my mindset is like
Right.
push as hard as you can. And it really paid off because everything that happened in the military happened at the highest level for me. So I was in my division of, I don't know, it was like 30,000 people. I was the highest decorated sergeant, and I was just a sergeant at the time, because of all of the opportunities that I created for myself by doing the right thing, always, never slacking, never complaining, never bitching, none of that stuff. Always being strapped and just doing all the extra duties and everything that I wanted to do. Taking people's guard duty on Christmas so they could go home to their wife. I was single, so it
Right.
didn't
Right.
matter. And it was all at the time investing in relational capital. Never even knew it.
Right. Right.
But it always created this amazing return for me. And I've had this life that I can't even explain how blessed and amazing it is. It's not easy. I was homeless. I was broke. I mean, I've been through all that, but I was always somehow grateful for what I went through. It's like, I can always look back and say, Jesus, if it ended right now,
Right.
no,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, that's kind of the way I think with this Screw the Commute. I mean, people look at my resume like, it's BS. How could you do all that stuff?
yeah.
Well, if you're not sitting in traffic commuting, you can
Mhm.
live 2 or 3 lives,
That's the one question I get all the time. And as a matter of fact, I was in an interview in Switzerland in 2012 for Apple. I was almost going to take a job because it was for Apple, and I thought, well, what a great company to work for. Until I found out they're like a cult. But anyway, so it was in the office of my 12th interview. 12th
Oh, yeah.
interview. And it was in their office in Zurich, Switzerland, and it was for a cluster manager, I think they called it, and it was for 3 countries. So it was like Switzerland, Germany, and Austria, because I speak German. And I'm sitting there, and there's all these people, and this director of Europe, right, looks at my resume and goes, and all of my accomplishments, and says, "No way. There's no way that you could be doing all these things right here. How can you possibly do that?" And I said, "Well, you delegate the task, but not the responsibility. I don't do it all on my own." And that just like shut him up. He was completely shocked that I actually had a solution or an answer for that. But it was true. I had I had 3 cocktail bars and a nightclub, and I ran a corporation, a British PLC for Europe, 3,500 employees, and I had 3 bars and a nightclub. Like, how can you do that? How is that possible? Delegation. Automation and delegation.
Yeah, and that Apple thing. Yeah, I was talking to one of the kids that worked down there. They've 7 months of interviews for part-time to work at
Yeah,
an Apple store.
I know, it's crazy. It's
So
crazy.
so you've had some quite poignant moments in the combat arena.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's okay. We're diving deep now. Okay, so when we were in Saudi Arabia, we landed in Saudi Arabia for Operation Desert Storm, and my buddy was there, Sergeant Young Dillon, and he was with the field artillery. He's what they call a forward observer. He sits up front with us and tells the artillery behind us where to shoot, right?
Yeah.
And so we're hanging out all the time, and about a month and a half goes by, and we go into battle, and we're in the famous battle. Actually, a video game was made out of it. It's called the 76 Easting, Battle of 76 Easting. It's the biggest tank battle in history since World War II. And of course, there weren't any other battles since World War II. Anyway, so open range of tank battles.
Uh-huh.
And I hear on the radio, the FO has been hit, forward observer's been hit, and I ran over, and there he was, and I caught his last breath and his last look to me, and his look to me was, "Don't mess it up, man. You have a chance now," like that. So whenever I get to the point where, at least now, where I'm, at the end, I guess you could say, or I'm not feeling so hot, I just look up and I see him looking at me going, "Don't mess it up, man.
Wow.
You got this chance. You got this chance." So, and that's how I help other veterans when they say to me, I mean, I actually have veterans call me in tears, say, "I can't do this anymore, man. I left 5 friends over there. Why me? What the fuck am I supposed to do? Excuse my French. What am I supposed to do here?" And I said, "Look, they're up there playing, dominoes, looking down at you saying, 'Man, don't mess this up, brother. We're up here, but you could be down there.'" And he's like, "I never thought of it that way." These guys are like, "I never thought of it that way." But I think that's what helps me keep me a little sane, because people say, "Well, yeah, it was 100 whatever 100 hours, or I was worse." And I had a Vietnam veteran say to me one time, I marched in the parade as the color bearer for the 8th Cavalry, in New York City on Fifth Avenue, ticker tape parade, and in Washington, D.C. It was crazy. And I had a Vietnam veteran say to me, he's like, oh, well, shit, you don't know what war is. I was there for 3 years. I said, look, first of all, come march with us. That blew his mind.
Yeah.
And then I said, you know what? That was my Vietnam. I don't want to know what it was like where you were. I'm sorry, but it's all relative. And so when I was in Iraq, after that, it was really tough for me. And I started wavering, like, Jesus, what are we doing here, man? And we were on a checkpoint on Highway 8 right outside of Basra. And if people remember, Bush Sr. said to the Shiites, form an uprising in Basra against the Sunnis, against Saddam's, tribe, the Ba'ath Party, and we will support you. And we were right there waiting. So they started the uprising, and Bush said, nope, sorry, we're not going to help you.
Oh, man.
Stand down. So we watched as thousands of people were massacred, burned, shot, killed, you name it. And our commander actually broke rules and went over and captured a whole company of people just to mess with them and got in trouble. We had to send them back. But one time I was sitting at the checkpoint and I see this like two figures coming toward us and far away, and there's a little pink dot, and it was this little girl wearing a pink dress. I'm thinking, like, in the middle of the desert? I mean, there's nothing there.
Right.
A highway and nothing as far as you can see except for Basra in the distance burning. And as she gets closer, she's holding her hands out like she's flying it, like she's an airplane, right? I'm thinking, like, oh, I guess she's playing. I guess that's her mother. Well, as she got closer, I saw that she was burnt from her neck all the way down, and her clothes were stuck to her. And that dress, I guess they found it and put it on top of her, so it affected her. And it was hard. It was really, really hard to see. And I see she came to us and helped and that kind of stuff. And so I sent her to the medics, and the medics bandaged her up, and we had to send her back because she wasn't an enemy combatant. We couldn't take her prisoner, couldn't help her, couldn't feed her, nothing. We weren't supposed to anyway.
Right.
We did. And she came out and she looked at me, and I got down on my knee. And I looked at her in her eyes, and I in my grenade pockets, I had butterscotch candies, right? So because my aunt would send them to me. And I pulled a butterscotch candy out and gave it to her, and she smiled. And in that moment, I said, you never have a reason to complain ever again in your life. Here's a little girl who lost everything, burnt from head to toe. She's smiling because I gave her a freaking butterscotch candy. So if that doesn't move you, nothing does, And to this day, I'm looking for her. It's like I in my mind's eye, I want to meet her.
Right.
I want to see who she is. I want to see it. It's like, wow. Yeah. So that was a defining moment for me where I said, enough. I'm getting out. I'm done with this shit. I don't regret anything that I did, and I'm a proud patriot, and I love my country, stand for what I did. It's just that that's not me anymore. So I went back to Germany. I had about a year and a half left. And they sent me to Berlin. I went out in Berlin for a while. So I met my first wife, and then I went down to southern Germany after that. And well, they closed Berlin. First, they closed where I was stationed, and I went to Berlin. They closed that, and I went to because they were, it was when Clinton came into power, so they shut everything down. And then they sent me to southern Germany, and I just decided to get out, and I stayed in Germany, and I stayed in Berlin, and I hung out with that girl, and that's when I started the bars and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it was what a journey, man. I don't talk about this very much. This is
Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe we can make something of the butterscotch thing. Make a little logo of it, a reminder to people. Give them some candy bars, and
Yeah.
they hear this story.
Yeah.
Amazing,
Wow.
amazing.
Yeah.
So, when did you really start getting into the business world, helping others in the business world?
Well, I always saw me in the bar as helping others, and when I was in the bar, I mean, I
forget your woes. Yeah.
Yeah, because what I did is every time there was a sporting event, I had 3 or 4 TVs in each bar. And I would, I'd sing the national anthem. I would stand on the bar and sing the national anthem. Right? So, when there was a sporting event or something, American sporting
event. Is this
all
expat kind of people or?
No, it was Germans.
Okay.
German police.
And
German police.
You're up there singing the American.
Oh, yeah, they loved it, man. That was when they loved America.
Oh, okay.
This was the 93, 94,
okay.
95, 96. Yeah. And they just, matter of fact, I got fairly famous pretty quick because of that. And because just the way I acted with people and the way I gave so much freely myself. I had people come into the bar and I'd say, where do you want to go tonight? And they're like, what do you mean? I said, pick a journey. Where would you like to be right now? And they're like, oh, Brazil. So I'd go make them a cocktail, just make something up. If they liked it, I'd name it after them and put it in my menu.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So I just keep doing all
Yeah.
these weird things like that. Yeah.
hmm
So, yeah, it ballooned, and then I started for the corporation, and the corporation, and then I sold my bars and stuff, and then the corporation crashed, and they did a hostile takeover, and they kicked everybody out, and there I was without a job or anything. And at the same time, my wife cheated on me and left me, and I lost my job and the money and the bars and all that kind of stuff. So I sold the bars. So I decided to write a book. Anything else to do? So I wrote a book about my time in the Gulf War, and I talked about all these things that were in my head. I didn't talk about we were on phase line Delta and we were moving through, and it wasn't like that at all. It was like I was scared shitless, and I didn't raise my hand quick enough to volunteer, and now I feel like a loser. That kind of stuff. It was that kind of a book, like really my personal journey, and it shot immediately to bestseller in Germany within 2 weeks. I wrote it in 2 weeks, and it came out 2 weeks later, and 2 weeks after that, it was a bestseller. And the thing about it is the Americans wouldn't pick it up because it came out the day the war started in 2003. So here it was telling this story, very, very personal, hurtful story about a GI, and here we are rolling into Iraq, going, yeah, we're going to win. So it was sort of a Random House picked it up, and they said, oh no, we're not. So, so it became a bestseller in Germany, Austria, Switzerland, all the German-speaking nations, and I did a year book tour, just in Germany. And I did a year of TV, a year of commentary on the news. I even did MTV Germany. It's like they had me doing everything because I was the only American war veteran, I guess, who spoke German. I don't know, the only one they could find anyway. So that was a full-time job for me. Made a lot of money. It was great, but I still didn't have a career or job. So I went back into the corporate world after that, and I got into the health club business. So we ended up having 87 health clubs. Not me, but they were, it was like a partnership, and it was a PLC, and then it was on the NASDAQ, joint venture, all kinds of stuff. And I ran the whole operation. That's where I really had the great time helping people realize their health and fitness dreams and stuff like that. But I was an executive. I wasn't down on the floor training people and stuff, but I trained every day, and I still do. So I was that guy that was an executive, but always hung out with the teams and not with the executives. Right. So I was that guy, and it just made life in those clubs so much more enjoyable because people are like, look at this guy. He's down here with us, man. He doesn't have to be here. He could be up there. Because when I was in Chicago with our joint venture partner, I had a stack of tickets on my desk every day. Oprah Winfrey, the Sox, Cubs, it was ridiculous. They never worked. Never. We had $3,000 lunches. Wow. It was ridiculous. Yeah, it was sick. And I lasted there 6 months. And I just couldn't deal with it. So then, unfortunately, I got into the business with my brother, who was a mortgage banker, my twin brother, who's a mortgage banker in America, and we were doing well. This was back in 2006, probably end of 6, 7. No, it's 6, 7, and 8. Actually 6 and 7, 5, 6, 7. And we started making so much money. We decided to. We had a friend who said, "Hey, you guys ever produce films?" And we're like, "Nope." And they're like, "What are you gonna do? You just gotta use your money." We're like, "Oh, we can do that." So we started producing films, working on films to produce in Hollywood, New York, and I was doing the co-production in Germany, trying to get the tax credits, and we were doing CGI in Belgium, and it was just like this whole, and then of course 2008 came. Actually, it was the end of 2007, 2008, and everything crashed.
Right.
And I mean everything. Within weeks, I had no apartment, no money, no job, no nothing. Completely decimated. So I was homeless, and I rented my apartment out to an American named Steve, funny, and he allowed me to stay on my sofa every second weekend or so, like stay on my own sofa.
Yeah.
And it got really, really bad. I had a toxic relationship at the time with this crazy woman who always put me down, and of course, because I was in a position where I was down, I took it and said, "Yeah, she's right, she's right, she's right, she's right," and I just kept feeding that evil devil inside of me, where I got to the point where I was lower in a snake's belly, and that's when it really hit rock bottom, because we're driving down the road, and she's cussing me out again about how stupid I am and how rich she is and how what a loser I am, and blah blah blah. And this is 2008, by the way, so it wasn't that long ago. And I said, "Get out, just get out. I can't take the shit." It was like the 16th time I broke up with her. All the toxic relationships, you can never get away from them. It's like an addiction. And she got out of the car, and I hit the gas literally 100 feet, sped like 100, 200 feet down the road, and got stuck in a police trap in Germany.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. And I'm already crying. I'm 200. Well, at the time I was 300 pounds and like huge, just this massive 6'4" massive ball of whatever I was. And I got out crying, snot coming out of my nose, and the German police were like, what do you, what, you know, and I'm standing there and as I'm trying to explain, and I got to fight, no, I don't want to give a shit. And she comes walking up because it was only like 200 feet.
Right.
And she's like, he's a war criminal, arrest him, he's crazy. You know, I was like, what? And so there
War
was
criminal.
3 police beside me on the left side, you know, I think 1 or 2 on this side. And then she was over there with another up because there was like 15 police people there at the speed trap. And they, as she was saying that, I looked beside me and there was like this little female cop, couldn't have been more than 5'2", and was like a toothpick. So I grabbed her gun.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I grabbed her gun and I was going to shoot myself. And my girlfriend at the time was saying, do it, pussy, do it, you know, in German. They tackled her and literally drug her behind the paddy wagon so I couldn't see her anymore.
Mhm.
And this little girl put her hand on top of mine, pushed it back into the holster, turned to me and said, this is not you. I know you. You don't want to do this. I was like, that of course blew me, like just
Right.
threw me off track. So I froze. Anyway, so the situation de-escalated really quick. They put me in a paddy wagon, let me sit there. They didn't press any charges for that.
Wow.
I lost my life. Well, German police are uber social. I mean,
Really?
yeah, like 1% of German police draw their weapon in a 35-year career.
Really?
Yeah.
See, we don't have that picture of Germans. We've
I never did either. They are the most social, caring people, police officers I've ever met. So anyway, they sent me home. I had to walk home. Wasn't that far. Not home, but to my buddy who was renting my apartment. And he let me in and he left. I'm sitting there, all my shit's still in there. So all my stuff's, you know, hanging in the closet. And so I go to my closet and I pull out my uniform, my army uniform, hanging up on the door. Take a picture, A4 of myself, put it below there, write a note, take out a big Marine K-bar knife, like a Bowie knife, stick it in my neck, and I'm getting ready to slice it. Just as I slice, I get this knocking on the door. I'm like, I can't even feel myself. You know,
you are a loser, man. You can't.
What a loser, man. Right? So I go to the door and I rip it open. I'm like, what? It was that little girl police officer.
Oh my goodness.
And I was like, what? And she's, can I come in? I said, yeah. She came in, took my hand and put the knife down on my little table there in the hallway and led me into my own living room, which was like strange for me. She sat down and said, look, I was at one of your readings, you know, one of my book readings that I did on the book tour. Oh. Yeah. I know who you are. This is not you. And she said, you're going to live an amazing life. You're going to have kids and you're going to find love. And it's going to be the most amazing thing for you. Hang in there. You're going to get through this. And then she got up, gave me the kiss on each cheek and left. And I'm sitting there going, what the hell? Oh, but it didn't really hit me at the time. But I'm thinking like, okay, that was weird, man. It's sort of.
She made space. That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she did. Yeah, good point. And she, what happened was, then I called my buddy Michael in Austria. And I said, look, Michael, I think if you don't come and get me, I'm not going to be here tomorrow. So he sent literally like 5 minutes later, I had a plane ticket in my email. So I flew to Austria. He had broken his ribs the day before. So his buddy picked me up, who I didn't know. He drove me to this monastery in the mountains of Austria with Benedictine Christian monks who meditate and chant. And it sort of said, here you go. We'll call you.
Yeah, all the stuff that you're used to from the trailer park, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I'm like, all right, I walked in and I didn't have a laptop. I didn't have my phone. I didn't tell anybody where I was going. I wasn't paying any bills. Nothing. I didn't give a damn. And I disappeared in that monastery. And I came out the other side, like 8 months later, I guess it was 6 or 8 months later, a completely different, grounded, sourced, powerful, strong, grateful, humble, loving person to myself.
Wow.
You see? And that was the problem the entire time. I was always trying to go to the outside, right?
Mm-hmm.
Always trying to go to the outside. Be powerful, be big, be strong, be the one, be. No, I am. I already am. I just have to realize it inside of me. And that's what the monastery taught me from that point on. My connections, my life, my love, my relationships, everything. It just changed forever.
I feel like calling you grasshopper From the hit grasshopper.
Man. The hit grasshopper, yeah.
Oh man. So you came out of that, all right?
Yep.
You're all in. You're okay now with you, but now you're looking out to help other people.
Yeah. So I got called back by the company that I was working for before, and they said, "Hey, you want to come back?" I said, "Nope, I'm not going back to the corporate world. It's too destructive. And there's not enough giving in there." And he said, "Look, we have a position just for 3 months in Budapest." And I was like, something inside of me said, "Go." And I was like, "Wow, Buda, I've never been. Okay, yeah, all right, 3 months, I can do that." And I also knew that Budapest is the heart chakra of Europe. So every year, every year they have a big bonfire here. People come from all over the world to celebrate this energy point in Budapest. I'm not too like on that side of spirituality, but I sort of like the concept. So I took it. And the first day in Budapest, the first day in Hungary, the first day ever in Budapest, the first day ever in the business, the first person I saw was the woman I ended up marrying.
Wow.
Yeah. Talk about fate. I walked in and I said, "Oh my God, I want to marry her." Just like that. It was like, wow.
What did she say?
I didn't tell her that, of course. But it's funny. I walked up to her, and this is a taboo in America, but in Europe, no one cares. I said, "You have the most beautiful face that I've ever seen." And she was like, she looked over to her right side and she said, "That's your office over there." So at the time, it didn't matter to me because I knew who I was. And I knew that what I was saying and what I was doing was 100% purely based in truth
Mm-hmm.
and in belief and love and care. And so she didn't feel that. She didn't feel that me shooting back at her, again, creating space, right? So there was no expectation from me at all, zero. And I think she felt that. But I didn't bug her anymore. So I started dating other women. And every day they'd come to the reception, it's Steven there, and yeah, they'd pick me up and we'd leave. And then after like a month, she's like, "Hey, can I ask you a question?" I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "Am I really only worth one try?"
Wow.
Yeah, and I said, "Nope, you and me tomorrow night." And that was it. From that point on, yeah, from that point on, we were together. And it's been 10 years now. We got 2 kids.
Oh,
Amazing
yeah.
woman that gives me so much power and so much love. It's incredible.
Wow. What an inspiring story. So we got to take a brief sponsor break here. When we come back, we're going to ask you how you're helping entrepreneurs. What do you have for them? All right. So we'll be right back with Steven Kuhn. What an inspiring story, I'll tell you. So since this is Vetrepreneurs Month, I want to tell you a little bit more about how my school supports military families and how our training can help them. Now, first of all, we give a 50% or a $9,500 scholarship to thank them for their service. And this applies to active duty folks or veterans. And then for eligible military spouses, the Department of Defense gives them an additional $4,000. And the reason this is perfect for military families, and I know this firsthand living in Virginia Beach, where we have, we're near Norfolk. They call it Norfolk, not Norfolk. All right. But this is one of the biggest collections of military in the world. And spouses around here normally have to take crappy jobs at lower than average pay because employers know they're going to get deployed. So employers don't want to invest a lot of money in the people that they know are going to be leaving. Then the spouse has to get deployed to find another crappy job in their new location. Well, this sucks. So with internet marketing training, companies don't care where you live. You can work legitimately from home. And if you get deployed somewhere else, it just doesn't matter. You can still be handling social media, email marketing, shopping cart stuff, customer service, and all the other things every business on earth needs. And not only that, you can study at home with no expenses for books, travel, or childcare. I mean, it's a perfect fit for military families. And one more thing, you can also sell your own products and service with the same skills you learn. So check it out at imtcva.org/military. And then give me a call. You can check that all in the show notes, and I'll be thrilled to support our military families. And there you go. So let's get back to the main event. Steven Kuhn is here. He is a decorated Army veteran. He is a grasshopper that I didn't know about. And he's been through the ringer, but has some very interesting insights on life because of his life experience that a lot of us, hopefully we can learn from his experience and not have to go through some of the things he's been through. But anyway, Steven, you're helping entrepreneurs like crazy. What kind of programs do you have for them?
Well, we have a few programs. I have my one-on-one, which is a coaching consulting. So I help people find their, they have an obvious problem that they typically focus on. We knock that out of the way for them. So you typically it's revenue. I need money for my business. I got to make enough money. So we take care of their conscious problem first, and then we work on the underlying problem.
Right.
Typically person based. Human based. That's the one-on-one that I work with, and I have a program with some partners called the Humble Alpha CEO program. Now, the Humble Alpha CEO program is for companies that have been in business for at least 3 years, have about 150K a month in revenue. And it's a customized program which is designed to take the leader or the CEO and their senior direct reports from their current level of performance to a high performing, laser focused team and to living the quality of life with certainty in everything they do. So it's a one-on-one, sometimes group. We have masterminds and stuff, and we do all this in a 5-stage process, and we do it in a year, and in that year we also make them $1 million. So
Beautiful.
it's a pretty exciting program. We use a lot of cutting edge technology with it as well, and we have subject matter experts that come in and do the actual one-on-ones with the specific parts of each stage.
I understand you're working on a new website for this, so it may not
Yes.
be in the show notes right now, but folks, you can always check back in the show notes. And what's the best way to get a hold of you if they want the one-on-one stuff?
Just go to my website, Steven with a V Kuhn, KUHN.com. And you can see a little bit of my stuff there, some testimonials. Click on contact, and then off we go. It goes right to my inbox, no filter. And
Yeah.
I answer you directly. Yeah, I do everything one on one as much as I can. I think it's key to stay that way so that people actually have that the direct response and not just we'll get back to
Yeah, that's the way I am too, because
you. I know you.
yeah, that's another thing we connected on
Yeah.
because you group stuff. The advanced people are bored if you're talking to the beginners, and vice
Yep.
versa. So, or
Yep.
the beginners are lost if you're talking to the
Yeah.
advanced people. So nobody gets any value, and that's our whole thing is
Exactly.
value, massive
Value,
value.
value, value.
Yeah,
Exactly.
which yeah, I'm thrilled about. So you're in what time zone for like if a lot of my people are in the U.S., you're in Budapest, right? So that's what 6 hours
6 hours ahead of
of
Central
East
Eastern
Coast.
Time.
Yeah,
Yeah, East Coast, 9 hours of West Coast.
right, right. And
So
what's it
I
like living in Budapest?
oh, it's picture a postcard and stepping into it.
Wow.
That's what Budapest is like. Honest to God, there's obviously bad areas as well, but I just as I do with life, I try to look at the good things, see the good things.
So are you in an
Uh,
expat community or just
there is, but it's funny. I'm not sure if you ever lived anywhere, but Americans never stick together. We're like the only expat community that don't hang out together. It's so weird. The British, they have massive parties and
right,
congregations.
right.
You go to the American Chamber of Commerce parties here, it's all Hungarians. There's like no Americans. There's like 300 Americans there. British, that's just ridiculous. You have the French, you have the Italian Chamber of Commerce. It's just parties. The high season, of course, is September to December, and every single night there's an event, a party, an opening, something. Onward, it's a breakfast, a lunch, incredible times. When I started the business here, that's all I did for 6 weeks. Was went every single day, and within 6 weeks, I knew the whole city. It's great.
Wow, wow, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So what parting thoughts would you have for our we call them screwballs, the people that listen to this?
Well, there's one thing that I always say, the biggest problem that I see, and this is not only with entrepreneurs who are starting out or mid-level entrepreneurs, but even large entrepreneurs and even companies, is that if I ask what problem are you solving, they're going to give me some general, we provide server. No,
Mhm.
what problem are you solving? What problem in society does your company exist to solve? If you have that, you have gold. If you have the problem pegged and you have a solution for that specific problem that you can communicate to that niche or that demographic, you're the winner, period. And most people do not take time to do that. They just think, oh, I have a digital marketing agency. I can make websites.
Yeah.
Everybody needs a website. Actually, they don't. And of course, there's a million people out there. Why are you different? Well, my USP, I'm not talking about your USP and all these buzzwords and, well, my
Right.
ROI, that's nice. But, all these big buzzwords that they think that they have to know. No, you need to know, what problem are you solving? Why do you exist? Why does your company exist? For what problem?
Hmm.
Right? And you get that, you nail that, you find a way to get into that. That's what we do. It's like when you do one-on-one with me, we zero in on that so hard and heavy, and then we turn that into your marketing, your brand language, your mission, vision, value proposition. And the next thing you know, all of your communication from then on out, you don't have to guess anymore. All of your employees, all of your clients, all of your customers, internal, external, everyone knows exactly what you stand for, why you exist. And that is powerful. That's so powerful.
It's kind of like the HIT thing. I mean, it's easy to make decisions when you know those ahead of time. But if you don't, you're just flipping a coin every time something comes up, right?
Right. Well, you know how when you go to a company and you ask four different people, hey, what's your mission?
Right.
Right. You get four different answers, right?
Right.
Well, this is the way that we solve that, is with the coaching that we do, and
Mhm.
with the one-on-ones, is that the outcome is that everyone speaks the same language, and that means your revenue goes up, conflict goes down.
Extremely powerful. A great thing to end on. So thanks so much, Stephen, for taking the time to inspire our bunch of screwballs out here. And yeah, I can't wait to do more with the veterans. And you have a thing called the tribe. And the most
Right.
important thing, though, is to get that guy to sell me a hat. I mean,
Okay.
I mean,
We'll make it happen, brother.
that's
We'll
the
make it happen.
hardest thing. I could get
We'll
out
make
of
it
it.
happen.
All right. So thanks so much. And everybody check the show notes. Get a hold of Steven if you want some inspiration and powerful training to really focus yourself and get that K-bar away from your metaphorical neck. Then get in touch with Steven.